Yes, Mister.
Assam, do you hear me very well?
Yeah.
Do you see the board very well?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, guys, let's start. As I said before, we will continue in lesson 4, rational numbers, page 217. Let's remember yesterday what we did. Yesterday we said that a rational number is any number can be written as a over b, like a fraction form, and a integer, b integer, but b cannot be 0. And we said that if you try in the calculator, you put 0 down, it will be math error. It's not defined. So 0 won't be down. 0 won't be down. It can be up, but it won't be down. So a rational number, any number can be written as a over b. Like, for example, 0.3, it's a decimal, but I can write it as a 3 over 10. 3 is the integer, and 10 is not 0, so it is rational number. Like 1 and the 3 over 4, it's mixed number, but I can write it as fraction, like 4 by 1, 4 plus 3, 7 over 4. 7 integer, 4 integer, and 4 not 0, so it's rational number. Like the number 5. 5 is 5 over 1. 5 integer, 1 is not 0. So all of these numbers are rational numbers. Now, let's continue in our lesson. Yesterday, the first idea was how to graph the rational number on a number line, right? We said we turn each number to decimal, then we make label on the number line by 0.2 or 0.1. It's up to you. Then we can put the number on its location. Now let's move to the second idea. Second idea is on page 217, guys, called absolute value of rational numbers. Now we took absolute value before. We said the absolute value, guys, it is the distance, the absolute value of any number, the absolute value of any number, it is the distance between this number and mean is 0. Again, the absolute value of any number, it is the distance between that number and 0. For example, the absolute value of -8. These two columns, guys, see them? These two columns, it's a shortcut for the absolute value. When you see them, means I'm talking about absolute value. So that's how we read it. The absolute value of -8, it's the distance between -8 and 0. What's the distance between -8 and 0? We said the distance cannot be negative. So the distance between -8 and 0 is 8. The distance between -8 and 0 is 8. And the distance of the absolute value of 9, what's the absolute value of 9? It is the distance between 9 and 0. What's the distance between 9 and 0 is also 9. So if the absolute value of negative is positive, the absolute value of positive is stay positive. We did that in the previous lesson. Now let's go to example 2 together. Find absolute value of rational numbers. Yeah, example 2, page 217. Example 2, page 217. Amin. Amin. طيب. Rakan.
Yeah, Mister.
Rakan, yalla. We are on example 2, page 217. Read.
The lowest point in the certain cave has an elevation of -53.4 meters.
So the elevation, guys, look at the board. The elevation The elevation of the lowest point in this cave is negative. Why negative, guys? Why negative? Because we are in the lowest point. We are down, not up. Down means what? Negative. Up means positive, okay? So the elevation is negative 53.4. 53.4. Continue.
Meters.
Meters, okay.
If the cave entrance has an elevation of 0 meters, evaluate
the cave what? Entrance. So we have cave here. Okay. And this is the entrance. The door of it is at 0. And down here, the lowest point is negative 53.4 meter. Okay. So the cave entrance is the 0 level. And we are down the lowest point. How much? The distance of it is 53.4. Continue.
Evaluation of 0 meters. Evaluate negative 53.4.
Evaluate this, guys. This negative 53.4. What's the meaning of these two columns here?
Absolute value.
This is the absolute value. When you see this, guys, this means absolute value. Okay. Now they want the absolute value of negative 53.4, right? Means what is the distance? What is the distance between this point, the lowest point, until 0? This distance. What is it, Yarakan? This distance. Rakan.
Yeah, Mr.
What is it? What this equal? Rakan, you was with us from the beginning?
Yeah.
What we said here, Yarakan, what we said here, what's the absolute value? It is the distance, right?
Yeah.
The absolute value, it is the distance, and the distance always positive. The distance cannot be negative, right?
Yeah.
What's the absolute value of negative 8? It is
positive 8.
Positive 8. The absolute value of positive 9, it is
positive 9.
Positive 9. What's the absolute value of negative 53.4?
Positive 53 negative 4.
Thank you. Positive 53.4. Yes. Is it difficult?
No.
The elevation of the lowest point, guys, is negative 53.4. But the distance is positive 53.4. Got it? We have a difference between the distance and the lowest point here. The location of the lowest point is on negative 53. Why negative, guys? Because we are going where? We are going down. But the distance between the entrance of the cave to the lowest point is positive 53.4. Got it?
Yeah.
So the absolute value of negative 53.4 is positive 53.4. Got it, Yarakan?
Yeah.
Good. Look down, Yarakan. How many? Look here. And write with me, guys. Write with us here. Read. How many?
How many units from 0 is negative 53.4?
They talk about units. Units means distance here. So what's the answer? 53.4. Positive. Write it. Continue, yeah. So
the hiker
descended
is positive 53.4 meters.
Excellent. Descended, guys, we have two words, descend and ascend. Descend means he goes down, descend. Ascend, he goes up. Down, descend means negative. Ascend means positive, okay? Right. So the absolute value of negative 53.4 is positive 53.4. Let's go to the check down, read the account. Check.
The Miller family is having an in-ground pool installed. The deepest point will be negative 9.75 feet below ground.
Hello. Negative 9. This is the deepest point on this pool, guys. Negative 9.75 feet below ground. That's why below ground they put negative. Below negative. Continue.
If the ground has an elevation of 0 feet, evaluate.
Wait. Look here, guys. This is the pool, okay? And the lowest point or the deepest point on the pool down, the deepest point is negative 9.75. Negative 9.75. This is the deepest point, okay? The ground or the face or the surface of the water here represent what? Represent 0. What's the question said again? The question said, if the ground has an elevation of 0 feet, means the ground, the surface of the water is 0 feet, and down the lowest point is negative 9.75. So continue your account.
Yeah. Evaluate. Negative 9.75.
Step. Evaluate. When you say evaluate, and you have these two lines before and after the number, this means what?
Absolute value.
So you will say like this: evaluate the absolute value of negative 9.75. Got it?
Okay.
Yalla read. Evaluate.
Evaluate the absolute value of negative 9.75 to determine the depth of the pool.
Good. So we want the absolute value, guys. This is a check. We want the absolute value of negative 9.75 meter. What's the absolute value, guys? Who can tell? Nidal.
Positive 9.75.
Positive 9.75 what? Meter. Write it, guys. This is the check. And guys, try to write this graph here, small graph, under the question, so you understand that the ground of the water here, the surface of the water represents 0. And down is the lowest point. And here is the absolute value. Absolute value of negative 9.75 equal 9.75.
Mr. Not meter, feet.
Feet, sorry. Feet. It's okay. This is the check, guys. It's easy one. Absolute value of positive is positive. Absolute value of negative is positive also. It's easy idea. Now, guys, the third idea here is how to compare between rational numbers. How to compare between rational numbers. Now, I will give you example here, guys, how to compare between rational numbers to know which number is bigger, which number is smaller, or least to greatest, greatest to least, and go on. Now, I will give you a small example here before we go more. For example, guys, look here. If I want to compare between 2 and 3/4 compared with 2.7. Now, this rational number, we can turn it to fraction. This rational number, we can turn it to fraction. Now, we cannot compare if we have different form of numbers. It will be a little bit difficult if we have different form of numbers. Now, to compare between two rational numbers, guys, we need to turn them both to decimals. we turn them both to decimal. This one is ready as a decimal. It's 2.7. Let's turn this one to be decimal. 2 and 3/4. Now we leave the 2 decimal and we divide the 3/4 بسرعة. 3 divided by 4. It is 0 decimal 30. Now 30 divided on 4 is 7. 7 multiplied 4, 28. Subtract 2. We have decimal, we can add 0. 20 on 4, 5. 5 multiplied 4, 20. Subtract 0. So 2 and 3/4, it is 2 decimal 75. Now, this number now, it is 2 decimal 75, and this number 2.7. Now, let's compare, guys. Here we have 2, and here we have 2. Decimal, decimal, 7, 7. Here we have 5. But here what we have nothing. We have nothing means we can put 0. So here we have 5, here we have 0. So which number is bigger? This one is bigger than this one. So to compare between two rational numbers, guys, turn them both to decimals, then you can compare normally. You can compare normally. So let's go to example 3. Example 3, guys, is 219. Compare negative 0.51. Compare. I will write the example on the board. Negative 0.51 and negative 12/25. Negative 12/25. Okay? Both are negatives. To compare, guys, here we have a fraction, decimal, and this one is a fraction. Let's turn this fraction to be decimal. Let's turn this fraction to be decimal. 12 divided by 25. Now 12 cannot divide with 25. We said 0.0. Now 120 divided by 25, it's 4. If you put 5 by 25 is 125, which is bigger than 120. Now 4 times 25, it is 100 exactly. Subtract 0, 2. 20 on 25. We have decimal, we can add 0. Now, you try numbers. 25 multiplied by 8, exactly 8. 8 by 25 will give 200. Subtract 0. So this is the decimal of this fraction, but don't forget the negative one. Now let's make my compare. Here we have negative 0.51. Here the first one. And here this one, negative 12/25. Negative 12/25. And I turn it to decimal, which is negative. Don't forget the negative sign. Negative the decimal, 0.48. Now let's compare, guys. Don't forget that in the negatives, negative 1 is bigger than negative 7. Don't forget that. Now here we have negative 0, negative 0. Decimal, decimal. 5, 4. This is 5 and this is 4. Who can tell me, guys, which number is bigger? Which number is bigger? Najam.
Yes, Mr.
Which number is bigger, ya Najam?
My negative 0.51.
Type. Wait, ya Najam. I will take another answers to compare between your answers. Najim said negative 0.51 is bigger than negative 0.48. طيب Ahmed Saleh.
Yes, Mr.
Ahmed.
Yes.
Which number is bigger, negative 0.51 or negative 0.48?
Negative 0.48.
Why?
Because if we lose.
Because in the negative, we're going closer to 0 from this number, right?
Yes.
Najm, are you with me? Najm,
Yes, Mister, I am here.
are you with me, Habibi?
Yes, with you.
Now, you said negative 0.51 is bigger than negative 0.48. But you remember, when we compare between negatives, we do the
Yes.
opposite. Got it?
Okay.
Yes.
Yani, which one is bigger? Negative 4 or negative 5? Which one is bigger?
-4.
Negative 4 is bigger. That's why the 4 here, because it's negative, is bigger than the 5 here because they are negative. Got it?
Yes.
So this number here is bigger. So negative 12 over 25, guys. The question wants us to compare between these two numbers. So negative 12 over 25 is bigger than negative 0.51. Najm, stay with me. Najm, to understand it, stay with me. If I remove the negatives, okay, if we have 0.51 compared with 0.48, now which one is bigger?
0.51.
0.51 now is bigger. Why? Because we are on the positive numbers. Got it?
Okay.
Hope you understand it. Thank you. Let's go to the check, guys. Let's go to the check after this example together. Let's go to the check. Compare negative 0.8 and negative 0.113. We have check after this example, guys. Check. We need to compare between negative what? 3/8 and negative 413, 0.413. I want someone to help here. I want someone to help. Samer, Koshak, yell. Omar.
Yes, Mister.
Omar, can you help me here? We have two rational numbers and we need to compare between them. What I need to do?
We will make them both decimals.
We will make them both decimals. The second one already decimal. We leave it. The
Yes.
first one, it is not decimal, it's a fraction. What we need to do to make it decimal, Ya Omar?
We will divide 3 with
Divide 3
3 by
over
8.
8. Then we put the minus on the answer. Got it? So
Yes.
let's go here by side and divide the 3 on 8. 3 divided by 8, not 8 divided by 3. Be careful, guys. Help me, Mr. How we divide?
We will put decimal up.
3
0
is less than
point
8, so 0 point. Then here, what I will add?
0.
Yeah, 30 on 8. What's the number?
3, 24.
3 by 8, 24.
3 multiply 8.
Because 4 gives 32, which is bigger than 30. 30 minus 24 is
6.
Now we have
put a
decimal,
0.
right? We add 0.
Yes.
60 on 8.
7. 56.
7 times 8. 56.
56.
Subtract
4.
4.
We
have
can add
decimal.
another 0.
We add 0. 40 on 8.
5 exactly.
5. 5 by 8. 40.
40.
Subtract. The answer is 0. Now, 3 over 8 is 0.375. Let's go back to our question now. And what are the two numbers now? Negative 0.375. Do not forget the negative, guys. The negative, do not forget it, because if you don't put the negative, this will be positive value. No, the question wants it to be negative. So it is negative 0.375 compared with the second number, which is already decimal. Just put it here. Now let's compare, Ya Omar. Which one is bigger? Negative 0.375 or negative 0.413?
Negative 0.375.
Negative 0.0375. This one is bigger because we are in the negative.
It's
If
closer
we
to
don't
zero.
have negative, guys, if we don't have negative, normally 0.4 is bigger than 0.3, so you'll make it like this. But because we have negative, so this will be the correct answer. But what's this originally?
Mr. Ahmed Saleh is singing.
Ahmed Saleh, your voice is good, but not here. Try to go to Star Academy there. They receive you there. Okay. Now, negative with negative. Okay, guys? So negative 0.3 is bigger than negative 0.4. But what's the original value of negative? The question wants this and this. This one is bigger than this one. So negative 3/8 is bigger than negative 0.430. Copy, guys. This is the check. Copy it all with the division, please.
Okay.
Copy the check with the division, please. Nidal, is the board clear?
Yes, mister.
Done. Now this is the check, guys. Under this example, example number 3, let's move to the next idea. Let's order rational numbers. Order rational numbers, guys, to put them from least to greatest or from greatest to least. Look at this note here. To order rational numbers, turn them all to what? Decimals. Then order means if you have a group of rational numbers, here we have two numbers and we turn them to decimals, then we compare. But if we have a group of rational numbers, we turn them all to decimals, then we could order from least to greatest or from greatest to least, depending on the question. What the question wants. Let's go to the example. Let's go to the example, guys. Page 220. Please, all of you, go with me to the example of page 220 here. Okay? معاي انتو؟ يلا. Read يا نضال. Order the set.
Order the set from least to greatest.
Yeah, from least to greatest. Look here, guys. Here we have a group of rational numbers, and down they turn all to what? To decimals. They turn all to decimals. The first number, 2.46 negative, is still the same because it's already decimal. But the second number, they turn it to decimal. The answer, negative 2.88. Write it, guys. بسرعة. I'm running of time. Negative 2.88. The third number, negative 2.1. Write it. Now, we have three decimals. Let's compare between them. from least to greatest, -2, -2, -2, right? Right. Here we have 4, here we have 8, here we have 1. What's the least of them? The least of them, because we are in the negative, it's -2.88, which is this one mixed number. Then -2.4 and -2.1 is the greatest one. This is the idea. Let's go to the check, guys. Under this idea, we have check. Let's order from least to greatest. Yeah. We have check under this example. Where is the eraser? Okay. We have check under this example. And I will do it, guys, fast because I'm running out of time. Order from least to greatest. The check. Order from least to greatest. We have this set in the check. We have 2.12, 2.12 positive, 2.12 positive, not negative, and
-2 decimal 1.
-2.1, and come on,
2 and 1 over 10.
2 and 1 over 10 positive. Be careful, guys. We have negative and positive here, and
-2 and 1 over 5.
over 5. -2 and 1 over 5. And please, guys, let's do it quickly. Now we'll turn all of them to decimals. Let's start with the first one. 2 decimal 12. It is 2 decimal 12. Ready. It's decimal already. Stop. -2.1. -2.1. It is also ready. It is -2.1. Right? This one ready. Stop. Here we have two mixed numbers. Let's turn them to decimals both. 2 and 1 over 10. If you divide 1 over 10, it will be 0.1. So it is 2.1. -2 and 1 over 5. This one, -2 and 1 over 5. If you divide 1 over 5, divide 1 over 5, it will be 0.2. So it's -2.2. Now look here, guys. I turn them all to decimals. And please copy. The first one, still the same. The second one is still the same because they are already decimals. The third one, 2 and 1 over 10, it's 2.1. The fourth one, -2 and 1 over 5, it is -2.2. Okay, guys, don't forget the negative. And we have positives here. Now let's search about the least number. The least number won't be the positive. The positive will be the greatest, right? So I'll compare between the negative and the negative to know what's the least number. Here -2.1 and here -2.2. What's the least, guys? Mean أقل, -2.1 or -2.2? Who can tell quickly? Brahim. Yanal.
Mr. Greater 2.1.
The greater? What is it?
The greatest, sorry, -2.2. Sorry.
ركز. We have -2.1 and -2.2. Which one is the least number?
Least -2.
-2.1 or -2.2? Again, which one is the least?
-2.1.
يا ابني احكي.
I'm talking, yeah, Mr.
يلا, which one is the
Mr.
least? This one or this one?
2.1.
لا إله إلا الله. طيب. You have noise around you, mister. I cannot hear you. Yanal.
Yes, Mr.
No, I didn't hear Mr. Ibrahim. Negative 2.1 or negative 2.2, the least one?
Negative 2.2.
Negative 2.2 is the least one. But I won't write this. The question wants this. So this one will be the least one. So it will be at the first. Negative 2 and 1 over 5. What's next, Yanal? Now we have 3 numbers. This one done. خلاص صح.
Next,
مين بعده بيجي؟ We have 2.12, negative 2.1, 2.1. The next, which one?
negative 2.1.
Either the negative less than the positive. So negative 2.1, it is the second number. طب next يا ينال, we finished with the negatives. طب we have 2.12 and 2.1. Which one is the next one here? بسرعة يا ابني.
2.1.
2.1 is less than 2.12. So this is 2.1, but 2.1 is 2 and 1 over 10. So we'll use the numbers in the group. It is 2 and 1 over 10. Then the greatest number will be
2.12.
2.12. This is the correct order, guys. And please copy it quickly, because at any time this session will end. Today you are able to do the homework, guys. So do the homework and send it in the Classera. Quickly, guys, copy this question quickly, please.